Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Sir, this is on preaching. I'm thinking we must sing this bhajan. I'm sorry, I'm just getting distracted by this, but I think we must sing this bhajan. Uh, so we'll get the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. अक्रोध परमानंद नित्यानंद राय, अक्रोध परमानंद नित्यानंद राय, अक्रोध परमानंद नित्यानंद राय, अक्रोध परमानंद नित्यानंद राय, अभिमान शून्य निताय नगरे वेदाय, अभिमान शून्य निताय नगरे वेदाय, अभिमान शून्य निकाय नगरे वेदाय, अभिमान शून्य निकाय नगरे वेदाय, अक्रोध परमानंद नित्यानंद राय, अक्रोध परमानंद नित्यानंद राय, अभिमान शून्य निकाय नगरे वेदाय, अभिमान शून्य निकाय नगरे वेदाय, अधम पतित जीवे द्वारे द्वारे गिरा, 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 हरिनाम महामंत्र वेणु विनायिया, हरिनाम महामंत्र वेणु विनायिया, Hari Nama Mahamantra Dhenu Vinayya, Hari Nama Mahamantra Dhenu Vinayya, Anuruddha Paramananda Nityananda Raya, Anuruddha Paramananda Nityananda Raya, Anuruddha Paramananda Nityananda Raya, Anuruddha Paramananda Nityananda Raya, Jare dekhe tare chohe bante krina dholi. Jare dekhe tare chohe bante krina dholi. Hamare kiniya loho balo gaurahari. Hamare kiniya loho balo gaurahari. Agrodha Paramananda Nityanandana. Agrodha Paramananda Nityanandana. Agrodha Paramananda Nityanandana. Agrodha Paramananda Nityanandana. Eko Bodhi Nityananda Bhume Garika. Eko Bodhi Nityananda Bhume Garika. Sonara Parvata Venu Dulate Lota. Sonara Parvata Venu Dulate Lota. Agrodha Paramananda Nityanandana. Agrodha Paramananda Nityanandana. Agrodha Paramananda Nityanandana. Agrodha Paramananda Nityanandana. Eno avatare jaharati najaniro. Eno avatare jaharati najaniro. Eno avatare jaharati najaniro. Eno avatare jaharati najaniro. Lochana mole te papi elo arake. 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 Agrodha Paramananda Nityanandana. Agrodha Paramananda Nityanandana. Agrodha Paramananda Nityanandana. Agrodha Paramananda Nityanandana. Abhimana Shunya Nitai Nagare Veda. Abhimana Shunya Nitai Nagare Veda. Abhimana Shunyanitai Nagare Vedai. Abhimana Shunyanitai Nagare Vedai. Agrodha Paramananda Nityanandana. Agrodha Paramananda Nityanandana. Agrodha Paramananda Nityanandana. Agrodha Paramananda Nityanandana. Abhimana Shunyanitai Nagare Vedai. Abhimana Shunyanitai Nagare Vedai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha, Veera Radha, Veera Radha, Jaya Sita Lakshman, Jaya Bhakta Hanuman, Sita Lakshman, Jaya Bhakta Hanuman, Jaya Sita Lakshman, Jaya Bhakta Hanuman.
मोमेंट याचा अर्थ हे नाही की यू विल कीप ऑन डूइंग द जॉब पण
Jai Jai Gurudev, 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 Gurudev,
ते आज मला सीओ लेटर यस
Premanande, Jai Shri Radha Madhav ki, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maiya ki, Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Sitaram Lakshman Bhakt Hanuman ki, Shri Prabhupada ki. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Krishna.
Prashant, can you give me that phone holder?
It's my great honor and privilege to be here. As such, I am a highly unqualified soul, very insignificant. But Prashant Prabhu and some other devotees, they requested that I should share some things which I have heard from my seniors. And he was telling that here the mode of preaching is very prominent. And it has to be, because once Radha Prabhu was telling,
Exactly.
shed some tears secretly for Prabhupada, remembering what all sacrifices he has done. And because of him only we are now here in this foreign land, we are sitting here and chanting Hare Krishna loudly and singing and dancing. So, and we have some kind of responsibility on our shoulders, and therefore this is the most important mood. And therefore, as we know, in ISKCON, we say preaching is the essence. So I was requested to speak on this topic and share some things about whatever I have heard from my seniors. So we'll spend like, I don't know how much time we have. We'll do for 1 hour, Prabhu. Will that be okay? I hope everybody had nice prasadam and I'm not interfering in anybody's schedules. I'm only seeking blessings and prayers from everybody. All of you are seniors, all of you are already doing so much preaching, and it's very embarrassing for me to be sitting here and speaking on this. But as a matter of service for my own purification, I'll just share some things. So let's begin with prayers. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnana-anjana-shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Prabhu Vishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Guruvakam Priyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandekam Shri Guru Shri Prabhupada Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sarvanam Tam Sajivam Sarvekam Savadutam Parijanasvekam Krishna Chaitanya Shri Radha Krishna Balam Sarvanam Shri Shada Vidamsya Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vishaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamini Namaste Saraswate Devi Gaurani Vijayane Nirvishesha Shundevadi Bhashkrat Devastarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pralayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaur Krishna Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Nimusute Taptana Jandorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwabhanu Sute Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpadu Yasha Viva Sindhu Jaya Madhukara Bhavadevyo Vaishnavyadnigo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Srivasmati Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Isn't it amazing that so many thousands and thousands of miles away, we are doing the same thing as what we would have been doing there. There's all glories to Srila Prabhupada for creating such wonderful things. He has brought out this revolution in this entire planet Earth by spreading Lord Chaitanya's mission everywhere. It was really amazing. Once, temple president of ISKCON Nepal had come to Pune for understanding some new preaching and things like that. So Prabhu had asked him to go to some Grastas houses and interact with them. So he happened to come to my house also. He was there, and then one more devotee was there, and his wife was there. See, three devotees were there from Nepal. So he came to my house, and my mother was also there, and we all had nice, time together. We all had some nice exchanges. And when they left, my mother was saying, "Arey, it did not appear only that they are not Indian and they are Nepalis, and as if we are meeting for the first time. It appeared as if we know each other from ages." And I'm sure each one of us have witnessed that, during our travels or when we meet any ISKCON devotee. Even though we may be seeing each other for the first time, it appears as if we know each other from I don't know how many lifetimes. That is a beauty of this wonderful movement which Prabhupada has created. Anyway, without getting distracted much, so I'll come back to this topic. So the topic was, is preaching is the essence, mood and mellows. So we'll see some things about it. Let's recite this shloka. Bhutena tapasayagye Jnane yoga samadhina Madhyam nishresham pumsham Madpritis tattvavidmatam Bhutena tapasayagye Jnane yoga samadhina Madhyam nishresham pumsham Madpritis tattvavidmatam Bhutena tapasayagye Jnane yoga samadhina Madhyam nishresham pumsam Madpritis tattvavidmatam. So, this is the shloka which I think comes in. Yeah, Vidur Maitreya Samvad. Right. So, when in Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a Vidur Maitreya Samvad section is there. So there, Maitreya is telling Vidur about how Lord Brahma was born and how he was confused and he was told to do austerities and penances. And then after that, Lord Krishna appeared to him and so Brahma offered prayers and Lord Krishna said something. This is exactly what Lord Krishna said. One of the things. So after Brahma is done offering prayers, then Krishna is saying, it is the opinion of expert transcendentalists that the ultimate goal of performing all traditional good works, penances, sacrifices, charities, mystic activities, trances, preaching, and everything else is to invoke my satisfaction. Krishna is telling to Brahma after Brahma is done offering prayers. So it says, Mat Pritis, Tattvavin Matam. All those who are Tattvavin, expert transcendentalists, Matam, it's their opinion. Like that. So, I wanted to start with this theme because ultimately, whatever we do, it should not happen that operation successful, patient died. Right? That should not happen. Sometimes we get into the nitty-gritties of certain things so much, and sometimes there could be a particular mood of a temple or there could be a mood of devotees around. But sometimes we get so involved in the externals that at times it may be easy to miss the sublime essence behind it. And therefore, I wanted to begin with this. That ultimately, Krishna himself is telling that whatever you do, ultimate purpose is to invoke my satisfaction. Prabhupada is translating here. So let's dive deep into that topic. So we know ultimate goal is to satisfy the Supreme Lord, right? Samsiddhi Hitoshanam, that we know. So we'll quickly begin with this. So I once heard that it said knowledge means to know Krishna and success means to we will always remember this. If one does not know, if one knows everything of this world, of other worlds, everything, but that person does not know Krishna, means that knowledge is incomplete. Because knowledge means to know Krishna. Similarly, one does everything, but if one does not please Krishna, then that is again, like water, river, but not a drop to drink, something like that. Operation successful, patient died. So success means to please Krishna. So, can you give me some examples from Shastras? We try to keep this interactive, Prabhu, huh? We try to keep this interactive. So, give me some examples from Shastras of people who have satisfied Krishna. So many examples are there. Any quickly we'll just discuss some examples.
This picture itself, the fruit vendor.
Yeah, fruit seller, right? This picture itself. Just some little fruits she gave, and then Krishna became happy and satisfied. So much so that Krishna wanted to reciprocate. Who else? Sudama.
Draupadi crying.
Draupadi, that Akshay Patra, that one grain. And Pandavas, so many. Dhruv Maharaj, when he went to do his austerities, with that he satisfied Krishna. Prahlad Maharaj satisfied. Yeah.
Chanting.
By chanting, yeah, so many things. But I wanted to dive deeper into this subject of satisfying Krishna. And then we'll get into one of the most special ways of satisfying Krishna, that is preaching. We'll get into that. Right? So in satisfying Krishna, two things are very important. One is action. But even more important than action is intent. Correct? So let's take some examples. Can you give me an example of somebody whose action was right, but intent was wrong? So action was as if to please Krishna, but the intent was wrong. Think about it. His action was also wrong. Okay, let's start from there. Action wrong, intent wrong. Duryodhana. All demons. All demons. Action wrong, intent wrong. Okay, we go one step ahead. Action right, intent wrong. Okay, action right, intent right. That's also easy case. See, these are two easy cases. Action wrong, intent wrong. Action right, intent right. Demons are here. Devotees are there. Action right, intent right. Yeah, now let's talk about the complex cases. Now tell me action right, intent wrong.
Like he spoke when Durga Mata appeared.
Okay. But in general, his life is also not seen as action right. How about Putana?
Yeah, action right, intent wrong.
Putana came apparently to breastfeed Krishna. So action is wonderful. I mean, she's like, wanting to give love to the baby Krishna. So action is wonderful, but intent? To kill Krishna. Okay. Similarly, we see this in the example of Marich and Jatayu. Right? It's a little deviation, but slightly related. Jatayu died by Ram for Ravan. Marichi died by Ram in the hands of Ram for Ravan. And Jatayu died in the hands of Ravan for Ram. So there we see what is more important, to die for Ram or to die in the hands of Ram.
Die for Ram.
That means intent. You see again, intent. Okay, now let's look at the other example. Action wrong, but intent nice. Very good. Classic example, Damodar month, right? The festival of love. All other festivals we celebrate for 1 or 2 days. But Damodar festival, we celebrate for 1 month. That's the power of devotion. Because that festival is purely about how Krishna gets conquered by his devotees. And therefore we celebrate that for 1 month. One is special. Yeah, so action versus intent. That's one factor in that. The other factor is accidentally pleasing Krishna versus intentionally pleasing Krishna. See, we may all end up accidentally pleasing Krishna. Like for example, there's this story of one person, that puffed rice. So one person was walking on the beach of Puri, Jagannath Puri ka ocean beach, and he was eating puffed rice nicely. All of a sudden, a strong gush of wind came, and his puffed rice flew in there, and he said, "Okay, Govinda Arpanam, Govinda Arpanam." So it's like, okay, anyway, now I don't have it. Let me just offer it to Krishna. So let's say sometimes God forbid, some theft happens, or let's say we end up losing some money. Then those who are devotees, sometimes we may think, okay, chalo, Krishna has taken. But that is accidentally pleasing Krishna, you see, if at all. So, but that is not bhakti. We know nectar of devotion talks about the definition of bhakti, right? Anya vilashita shunyam, jnana karma karmadi anamritam, anupurena krishnanushilanam bhakti uttama. Right? So Anukulena and Krishna Anushilanam. It's a cultivation, it's a positive activity, not accidentally pleasing Krishna, but intentionally pleasing Krishna. Okay. Continuing in this theme of satisfying Krishna, we have a very important point to understand that it's not easy to satisfy Krishna. It's not easy to satisfy Krishna. When in the beginning, when we come to ISKCON, Krishna becomes satisfied very easily. Like Gaurav Prabhu in one of his lectures in a very comic standard, the way he says, right? He says that, when we come newly to ISKCON, then somebody says, oh, Prabhuji, please take prasadam, please take prasadam. And then devotee says, why? It's so easy to satisfy Krishna. You just have prasadam nicely, Krishna is getting satisfied. And then after a few months or some time in ISKCON, we say, okay, Prabhuji, can you please help in serving? And then no longer only by eating prasadam, Krishna is becoming happy. Only when we start serving prasadam, Krishna will be happy. Then after some more months, some more years, they'll call you in dishwashing, Prabhuji, can you please help here? Then no longer by this Krishna will be satisfied. Now with this Krishna will be satisfied. After some time, Prabhuji, can you help in cooking, and like that, this intensity of what is expected from us increases gradually, right? And it's rightly so. It's not that Krishna is cheating us, It's rightly so because from one who has got more is expected. Like for example, let's say there are two children of a father. One is a small son, one is an elder son. Now, obviously, elder son, you will expect more responsibility from elder son. You will expect him to take more, to shoulder your burden, as the son is growing up. Correct? So it's natural evolution of relationship. So if that happens, is that a good symptom or a bad symptom? That when we are being pulled into more services or we are being asked to display more commitment to Krishna, is it a good sign or a bad sign? Good sign, because it is a sign of becoming an insider. It's a sign of becoming Krishna wale, Krishna ke side wale, just like in marriage, there is a bride side and there is a groom side, right? Similarly, we are becoming more and more insider of Krishna, and it's a sign of our maturity of relationship. So let's say we are here and we have to go here. So in our journey, it's a sign of our maturity of relationship with Krishna, that Krishna expects more and more from us. So when Dhruv Maharaj went to forest, after he became very angry, we know that thing, right? That Uttanpad, he wanted to sit on the lap of Uttanpad, but because of Suruchi, Suruchi said, oh, hey, you cannot sit here, get out, get lost. And then Dhruva became very angry. He went to Suniti. And Suniti, he said that I want kingdom more than my grandfather. And Suniti said, I don't know how do you do that. And he said, who can give me? She said, Krishna can give you. And he said, where will I find Krishna? She said, in forest. So then he went to forest, right? And he did very severe austerities and penances. That time Narad Muni came to meet him. And then Narad Muni guided him further on this path. First he tested, and then he guided him further on this path. Then Narad Muni came to Uttanpad. This first photo, if you see here, you see Narad Muni sitting there with Uttanpad. So Narad Muni has met Dhruva in forest, and after that now Narad Muni is sitting with Uttanpad. And Uttanpad is very sad. Obviously, Uttanpad loved Dhruva Maharaj, but he could not overrule. Like in court they say, right? Objection, my lord. He could not do that, when Suruchi said something. Dashrath Maharaj also could not do that. That's a sign of weakness. So Uttanpad, but because of affection for Dhruva, he was very sad. So Narad Muni came and said, no problem, don't worry, don't be sad. Your son is fine. I met him in the forest. But let me tell you, he has gone on a path to do something which is very, very difficult to do. And Narad Muni says, what is that? And he says he has gone to satisfy the Supreme Lord. And in the shloka it says, I don't remember the Sanskrit word, in shloka it says it is very, very difficult to satisfy the Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada writes this in the purport there. That what is the most difficult thing? To satisfy the Supreme Lord. This appears to be like a contradiction. Because we know Lord is very easily satisfied. Correct? But as we evolve in our maturity of relationship with Krishna, Krishna expects more and more from us. And being able to satisfy him demands higher and higher standards, higher and higher commitment, higher and higher sacrifice. Like we will see some examples here. Anybody knows what is that example? Yes. Yes, Prabhu. So Prithu Maharaj did 99 yajnas. In the 100th yajna, we know what happened. Indra came and there were a lot of fights again and again. So many apasampradayas were getting created. And then Brahma came and everybody came and told Prithu, stop. Now who was right, who was wrong? Between Prithu and Indra, who is right, who is wrong? Prithu is right. By all means, by all standards, Prithu is right. I mean, he is doing his business, Indra is unnecessarily getting tense. The other day, if he does 100 yajnas, he will get Indra post. So he was unnecessarily creating trouble. So clearly, Prithu was right, Indra was wrong. Yet who was told to stop?
Prithu was told.
Because one who is mature, one who is evolved, only that person
I
is.
understand.
But many times when something happens to us, let's say there is a fight between two devotees or there is a conflict with temple management, right? And then we are being told to, let's say, go back or take a back foot or, okay, no problem, become submissive. Then we sometimes question, why me? It's a good sign. That means somebody is exercising his control over you. That means we are, somebody is considering us to be their property. Only that person will be told. One who will not hear, why will he be told? Nobody would waste their time in telling them, right? So it's a good thing. So anyway, so Krishna became more satisfied with 99 yajnas which Prithu did, or that 100th yajna which Prithu did not do. This is a very interesting point. Krishna was more satisfied by the 100th yajna which Prithu did not do than the 99 yajnas which he did. That's called as going right beyond right. So I'm trying to what I'm trying to present in this slide is that satisfying Krishna has a lot of nuances. And we have to be really, really refining ourselves more and more. Like as His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj often say that we have come here to improve, not to prove. In this world, we have come not to prove, but to improve, right? So, so therefore, it's not enough for us to say that, hey, I am right, you are wrong. See, justice be given to the right and all that. No, that's not the high spiritual standard. So those who are young devotees, new devotees, they may demonstrate these kind of things. But as we make more and more progress, as we make more and more advancement, more is expected from us. These finer Vaishnava behavior, right? So that's Ritu's example. And we understand how difficult it is to satisfy Krishna. It's not easy to give up that 100th yajna which he was doing. And that too he was not doing for himself. He was doing for Loka Kalyan. Okay, this example, anybody, who is this person with Vajra? Indra, correct? Now, in Govardhan pastime, we all know what Vrajvasis were about to do. What were they about to do when Krishna interfered? They all had made everything ready year after year. It was a tradition. They were preparing for Indra worship. It was a tradition. Krishna told, stop that. Now look at how Vrajvasis consider their relationship with Krishna. Just to please Krishna, they stopped that. But they knew that big problem is going to come. They were convinced that Indra is not going to leave so easily. Right? So now see again what is happening here. What did Vrajvasis have to do to satisfy Krishna? They knew that now we are going to be ruined. Indra is going to throw his wrath on us. And that's what happened, sure enough. That's what happened. Correct? Yet Vrajvasis were willing to follow what Krishna is saying. That is the priority which Krishna holds for them. Are you able to get this point, appreciate this point? That Vrajvasis knew that now everything is going to be finished. Of course, they have full faith in Krishna's protection, right? But then they know that is going to happen. Their houses are going to drown, and actually, literally, the whole Vrindavan was underwater. Only that area under Govardhan was protected, correct? To such an extent that even one blade of grass on Govardhan was not damaged. So that's power of Krishna. But it required so much a test on behalf of Vrajvasis, right? It took that to please Krishna. Okay. That example, Yudhishthir, that era, what is that? Ashwatthama example. Yudhishthir is Dharmaraj. You can expect anything from Yudhishthir, but not telling lies. That's the last thing. He can do anything. He can stand upside down, go to forest, okay, ask him to do 1,000 years of those, all that is easy, no problem. But asking him to tell a lie is too much. He had to do that to satisfy Krishna. You are getting what I'm trying to highlight here. What I'm trying to highlight here is that we cannot be in our comfort zone if we have to satisfy Krishna. Initially, Krishna becomes easily satisfied by keeping us in comfort zone. Now, if you want to be in comfort zone whole time, then we will not go back home back to Bharat. Right? So then gradually, when we go ahead, then we have to come to stretch zone to satisfy Krishna. And these are examples of stretch zones. Vrajvasi came to stretch zone, Prithu came to stretch zone, Yudhishthir had to tell a lie to satisfy Krishna. Arjun, in Mahabharata, what was Arjun's default tendency? Compassion, being noble, kind-hearted. And Prabhupada appreciates him in second chapter. Prabhupada says that is a good thought he is having. That why to kill family members just for the sake of kingdom? No problem. That's a natural tendency. Arjuna had to go against his natural tendency to satisfy Krishna. You see this? So it's not easy to satisfy Krishna. Somebody may have to go against natural tendencies, somebody may have to face all calamities, somebody may have to go against their very vow of dharma, and things like that. So it's not easy to satisfy Krishna. But what is the secret? Krishna also says that he can be easily satisfied. What is that? Daya sarva bhuteshu santushtya yena kena va sarvendriyo pasantya cha tushyati asu janardanaha. This says dayaya sarva bhuteshu, by showing compassion or mercy to all living entities, number one. Number two, santushtya yena kenava, somehow or the other be satisfied. Second, third, sarvendriyo pashantya cha, control your senses. By doing these three things, what will happen? Tushyati will be pleased, Janardana, Krishna, asu, very quickly. So we read the translation, by showing mercy to all living entities, being satisfied somehow or the other. You see, it says yena kenava. It's not saying, "Are sab kuch to mila hai, everything you have, why don't you be satisfied?" No, even if you have not got anything, then also be satisfied. Yena kenava. And controlling the senses from sense enjoyment, one can very quickly satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Narada. Narada Muni is telling this to Gulchetas. So now we'll very quickly go over this in reverse order so that we end with Daya Sarva Bhuteshu, which is our theme of the class. Okay. One of the forms of Daya Sarva Bhuteshu is preaching. Correct? So, but we'll quickly talk about the other two as well. Sarva Indriya Upashantya. What does that mean? Controlling our senses. It is so critical to make advancement in Krishna consciousness. We have heard that sense gratification and Krishna consciousness go ill together. Very famous quote. Sense gratification and Krishna consciousness go ill together. We cannot have one leg in one boat and another leg in another boat. They go ill together. That's it. Yeah, we are bearing with it. We are somehow continuing with it. But the intent is that we want to get over it. It cannot be doubted. You see? So there are anarthas, there are conditionings, there are attachments. Anarthas, conditionings, attachments. Correct? And propensity. Four things are there. Anarthas should be dovetailed or they should be uprooted. They have to be uprooted. They are like weeds, anarthas. Attachments have to be given up. No, attachments cannot be dovetailed also. Attachments, remember that goat example, that marriage party, whole night they were about to go to the bride's village, but the whole night the boatman kept rowing. The boat did not move. Why? The anchor was out. Right? So our attachments are like that. Attachments have to be cut. Anarthas have to be uprooted. Attachments have to be cut. Okay. Our propensity, dovetail. Propensity has to be dovetail. Like somebody has speaking propensity. Dovetail, give class. Speak about Krishna. Somebody has, propensity to organize things. Okay, organize things in temple, organize festival. Somebody has propensity for cooking. Okay, use it, right? Like that. So, and then conditionings have to be managed. Conditionings, for example, my body does not like hot weather, so I always have to be in AC. It's okay, manage it somehow. We have to put AC, but go ahead. The main thing is the main thing. Right? It's okay to switch on the AC, no problem, right? Not at all AC. What kind of spiritualist is? That's a conditioning from past life. Or somebody in the bad stomach, right? Upset stomach, digestion problem. Chronic digestion. The constitution, kapha, vata, pitta is problematic. What can be done now? It's past conditioning. That's it, right? Manage it somehow. Within those constraints, we practice Krishna consciousness. But sense gratification, it cannot be dovetailed, it cannot be managed, it cannot be that it has to be given up basically gradually, gradually. So that's how important it is. I like this example which Radhesham Prabhu gives a lot, and that's a very graphic example. He says that imagine we have kerosene oil inside our stomach, or let's say we are a canister of highly inflammable substance, and these holes, eyes, ears, nose, all the sense objects, all the senses are like holes. So anytime you do sense gratification, you are burning a matchstick and throwing it inside that hole. It's a very graphic example. It's a very graphic example that anytime we are doing sense gratification, we have to be careful, we have to be alert and aware that what we are doing, we are burning a matchstick and throwing it inside one of the holes, and what's there inside? Highly inflammable material, substance. So it will only ignite fire, right? So that's an example of my matchstick. Okay, so how can we control our senses then very quickly? By focusing mind on Krishna, because we know mind is the taskmaster of the senses. If our mind is more and more Krishna conscious, gradually our senses will also become more Krishna conscious. Eyes are the main window through which sin enters. So by making sure that we always look at a picture of Gurudev, Prabhupada, deities, by looking at devotees, so that we don't look at wrong things, because they are the main windows through which sin enters. Tongue, controlling tongue is critical. Many times we struggle. See, these things are also reminder of some basic essential teachings which we all have learned, when we came to Krishna consciousness. But these are so fundamental principles that we have to revise them time and again. Many times we worry about controlling our senses, but in Nectar of Instruction very clearly it is mentioned that how all our senses can be controlled if our tongue is controlled, and tongue has two things, tasting and speaking, right? So therefore, I heard this nice thing. We should fill all our holes with supreme hole. If we stuff all our holes with supreme hole, then we are protected. Okay? So this is Sarva Indriya Upashantya. Then what is the second thing? Santushtya Yena Kenava. That is a very, very nice thing in spiritual life. So you see what Prabhupada is saying here. A devotee is always satisfied. He does not grudge. Like, why am I put in this condition? Whatever condition that Krishna has given me, that is all right. Tattenu kampam tusamikshamanam. That is his grace. And in chapter 12 of Bhagavad Gita, from shloka number 13 to shloka number 20, Krishna is giving one by one many qualities, saying that such a person is very dear to me. Every translation ends with this. Such a person is very dear to me. Such a person, 13 to 20, right? In chapter 12. There, Santushtya has come twice. And it is so important to please Krishna, to be satisfied. And that is again the Tattena Kampam verse. Prabhupada says one should not be eager to acquire unnecessary material things by unnecessary material activities. We should be satisfied with whatever we have. And that's opposite of prayas and atyahar, we know. There are three cancers of heart. Criticize, complain, and compare. See, if we keep criticizing, or if we keep complaining, or if we keep comparing, we will never be satisfied. These are called as three cancers of heart. CCC, three cancers of heart. So if we remain away from them, then it's easy for us to be satisfied. You see Duryodhana example. He got everything, yet compare, complain, criticize. I did not get this, I did not get this. Why temple is doing that to me? There is this politics here. I don't know whether politics is here or not, but it has to happen. Anytime there is an organization, may not be in a gross form, but organization requires post position privileges, and those carry with them certain things, unavoidable things. It's like, therefore, I was sharing with somebody, I think today, that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, in Kali Yuga, organization is a necessary evil. In Kali Yuga, organization is a necessary evil. We need it also, otherwise this organized thing will not happen, our preaching will not expand. It's very important. At the same time, that will have the other side as well. But we should learn to stay away from complaint, compare, and criticism, so that we are satisfied. And that is actually called as austerity of mind. Chanakya Pandit says something interesting. Chanakya Pandit says three things we should be satisfied with and three things we should not be satisfied with. Never be satisfied with. What are the three things? Santushta Trishu Kartavya. Three things we should always be satisfied with. What? Swadare, Bhojane, and Dhane. Swadare means one's own wife. One should be satisfied with one's own wife. Otherwise, we'll create problem with other wives. Once one, young boy, we have in Pune, we have this concept of Nityanand Sabha. That means those boys who are about to get married, it's good that they get some training so that they become good grihasthas and practice Krishna consciousness nicely. So, at that time, and by default, they are getting brahmachari training. So, boys are typically very afraid of getting married. So, one boy asked us a question. Prabhuji, is it okay to be attached to one's wife? So, the standard answer we give is, better to be attached to your wife, otherwise you will be attached to other wives. Better you be attached to your wife. So that's what Chanakya Pandit is also telling. Santushta Trishu Kartavya. With three things we should be satisfied. Swadare, your own wife. Number two, Bhojane, Whatever prasad we get, we should be satisfied with that. Not that we are hankering away, today we did not get that. I came to temple only thinking that probably they'll make this today, but they did not. Anyway, it's okay. But like that. So both are. And third, dhane. Whatever prosperity, whatever wealth, we should be satisfied with that. And santushta, trishu na kartavya. With three things we should never be satisfied. What are those three things? Swadhyaya, japa, dana. He's saying Swadhyaya means our study of scriptures. Japa means our sadhana, our chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Always feel I'm not chanting properly. I have to improve, I have to improve, I have to do better. I'm not getting time to read Prabhupada books. I'm not hearing classes properly. I have to improve, I have to do. It's okay that we have some situation because of which we are not able to do, but the hankering should always be there. Goal can be out of reach, but it should never be out of sight. That's why we regularly come in association of devotees, to get reminded again and again, that this is what we are supposed to do, Even if today we are not there, one day we'll be there, so that hankering has to be there, that longing has to be there. The goal can be out of reach, but it should never be out of sight. If we stop coming to association of devotees, the goal will go out of sight also. That will be disaster. So Swadhyaya, Japa and Dana. By our charity, we should never be satisfied. I want to give more and give more. And then of course Bhagavatam gives this satisfaction formula. Savai Pumsam Yato Dharmo Yato Bhaktir Adhokshaji Adhokshaje Asayatuki Apatihata Yatma Suprasidati. When we render unmotivated, uninterrupted, pure devotional service to Krishna, that gives the satisfaction of the heart. Nothing else will satisfy us. Only that will satisfy us. And we see example of so many high-class devotees in Bhagavatam. Actually, Bhagavatam is like Amazon. I mean, what I mean is something different. What I mean is, and I heard this from a senior devotee. So, what it means is, see, in Amazon, when we buy something, we look at two things. What two things we look at when we buy something?
Price and reviews.
Reviews, right? Price and reviews. Now we want Krishna in our life. So, we want to look at price and reviews. So we know price of getting Krishna is very high. You see how it was difficult to satisfy Krishna. We have to always keep going better and better and better. If we are here, we have to come here. If we are here, we have to come here, right? We have to keep becoming better and better and better. And devotees had to pay what not price to please Krishna or to get Krishna. What not they have done to get Krishna, to get pure devotional service. So we understand price from Srimad Bhagavatam. But there is a happy news. We also get the reviews. People are so happy by being with Krishna that they are saying, okay, let more sufferings come to me. Kunti Maharani is saying, let more sufferings come to me, but I want Krishna. A review. A wonderful review. Ras Khan is telling, Navnidhi, Ashtasiddhi, all those things are on one side. And one glimpse of Krishna is on one side. And same thing is being said by so many devotees. Means it's not a coincidence. See, first of all, it's not a coincidence. Secondly, they are not trying to fool us. It's not that, Prabhupada and, Ras Khan and these all big devotees in Maharashtra, that, Tukaram, and Namdev, they are all different saints at different times. Not that they had WhatsApp and they were discussing a strategy. You also say this, I will also say this, and we will fool the people. No, it's their personal experience which they are sharing. And everybody has the same experience. Kak Bhushandi, in Ramayana, when he comes in with to child Ram, and he takes the piece of roti from Ram's hands, Ram starts crying. And Ram starts crying, this crow, Kak Bhushandi, he thinks, is he God? Just like Brahma got confused when looking at covered boy Krishna. Kak Bhushandi is saying, is he God? And then he's like, sure, honestly, I'm wasting time with this person. He's not God. I thought he's God, so I came here. I took roti, he's crying. What kind of God is he? He left him and he started flying. Kak Bhushandi, crow. And then Ram also now started flying behind him. Wherever he would go, Ram would follow. Oceans, mountains, Brahmaloka, this, that, everywhere. And finally, Kak Bhushandi got tired completely and he fell down. And when he fell down, then he came at the feet of Lord Ram and he said, I have understood, you are the Supreme Lord, I am so sorry. I'm sorry, I came under your Maya. I thought you are not Lord. Something similar as Brahma Vimohan Leela. Kak Bhushandi also got illusion. And then Lord shows his Chaturbhuj Roop to him and he says, I am very pleased with your devotion. Mango kya mangto? Ask me what you want. And then again, Kakushandi says the same thing. I don't, then Lord says, Are you want Ashtasiddhis, I'll give you. You want Navnidhi, I'll give you. You want palaces, I'll give you. You want this, I'll give you. Then Kakushandi says, My dear Lord, you talked about giving everything, but you did not talk about giving pure devotion. I want pure devotion. See, same thing again. Right? Everything else is on one side, and pure devotion to Lord is on the other side. It's not a coincidence that they are saying like that. It's not that they have strategized or planned and plotted against us, that they will all make a fool of us. They will all brainwash us. No, it's a fact. And we see that in all pure devotees, all across Srimad Bhagavatam. The reviews are really amazing. But one word of caution, anytime I speak of satisfaction, I always want to always add this star mark. Because Shastras, knowledge is a double-edged sword. Something can be properly understood also, something can be misunderstood also. Like sometimes the devotee may wrongly think satisfaction to be laziness. Let's say there is a fire in the house. Prabhu, Veena Kenava Santushta. It's fire. Why to go and extinguish the fire? Or somebody is not doing his duties properly. His children are rotting in the road somewhere. Wife has no clothes, dress to wear, and he is somehow, being so lazy that he's not working properly, not earning money. And he's quoting this shloka saying that, see, Krishna has told, whatever you have, be satisfied. That's not what this verse means. It means do your best, then leave the rest. It does not, this satisfaction is not laziness. That is satisfaction in mode of ignorance. So satisfaction is also three modes. Ignorance, goodness, passion will not go there. So this is not there, right? So we talked about three secrets of pleasing Krishna. One was Sarva Indriya Upashantya. Second was Santushte Yena Kenava. And third is Dayaya Sarvabhuteshu. This is so important secret of pleasing Krishna. See, we have no hope. I mean, at least I can speak for myself. We are not some big sannyasi. We are not a very, very highly qualified spiritual transcendentalist. We probably did not even come to US in search of God. Probably we came here in search of something else. So we know who we are, right? But it's so easy to please Krishna and make spiritual advancement just by contributing in the preaching movement. That's what we are going to discuss now. Daya Sarvabhuteshu. What does this mean? First of all, it means not harming any living entities. We know that example of Mrigari. How after he got transformed, earlier he was half killing animals, Mrigari hunter. Earlier he was half killing animals and he was not even feeling their pain. After getting transformed by Narad Muni, later after chanting in front of Tulsi and after several years when again Narad Muni visited, he was even careful that nobody should step on the ants. Look at the extreme transformation. So not harming any living entities. Now this is very important. This is when Prachetas, we all know they went underwater to do tapasya for 10,000s of years. Prachetas. When they came out, the trees had overgrown a lot, over their kingdom. And they became very angry on the trees. What is this? You have made our entire kingdom only into a forest. And they became so angry, fire started coming out of their mouth. And they started killing all the trees. That's when Somadev comes, the god of trees, and says this to them. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated as the super soul within the cores of the hearts of all living entities, whether moving or non-moving, including men, birds, animals, trees, and indeed all living entities. Therefore, you should consider everybody. Who is telling whom? Somdev is telling Prachetas. Therefore, you should consider everybody a residence or temple of the Lord. By such vision, you will satisfy the Lord. You should not angrily kill these living entities in the form of trees. So that's how a devotee does not harm a living entity because he sees them to be temple of the Lord. Again, knowledge is a double-edged sword. So sometimes devotees think, oh, we should show mercy to all living entities. So I'll show mercy to myself also. Unnecessarily I'm working hard to wake up in the morning and go to temple. I should be merciful to myself. Shastra say we should not be merciful to ourselves. The formula is strict with ourselves, lenient with others. But we are eager to be lenient with ourselves and one more example of the same thing. See, same knowledge, it's one way we have to apply it on others, and it's another way we have to apply it on ourselves. Like another example. When we do something and we are being misunderstood, we are very eager to become our lawyers and defend. No, Prabhuji, you are misunderstanding. This is not what I did. You please understand. This is not what my intent and all that. So we are very quick to become our own lawyers. But when somebody else does something, we are quick to become a judge. Right? When we do something, we are quick to be our own lawyers. But when somebody else does something, we are quick to become a judge and we become judgmental. La, la, la. I know he is doing this only. And there was one more example which had come in my mind. Yeah, about duty and favor. It's a very brilliant point. Again, I heard this from Rajesh Prabhu sometime. Very, very applicable in joint family between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. So some of those examples are very close to my heart. But anyway, I'll tell you what this is. This is applicable to anybody in general, but this is more prominently seen in typical North Indian families between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. What happens is this. So let me give what happens in general. Mother-in-law may say, the daughter-in-law may do a lot of things, lot of, duties and everything. Yet mother-in-law will say, right? So what big deal she has done? She has done her duty only. I don't know if you're able to relate with this or not, but that's a typical thing, which is there. Mother-in-law will say that it will never be enough. I mean, the daughter-in-law, no matter how hard she may try, that will still never be enough because mother-in-law will say, what big deal she has done? She has done her duty only. And that creates so many problems, right? But you know what the Shastras say, what's the right way to live life? It says that when the other person is doing duty also, then also we should be so grateful as if they have done a favor on us. Even if the other person is doing duty, what should we feel? We should not minimize it by saying, what did you do? Duty only, na? No, we should think as if they have done a favor and we should be so grateful. But even when we do a duty, even when we do favor, we should think we have done our duty. Not that I have done a favor on you. It's my duty. You see how it's opposite? So that's what I was saying. When it comes to others, how it has to be understood. When it comes to ourselves, how it has to be understood. Knowledge is a double-edged sword. It has to be very properly understood in the right mature guidance so that we get the right understanding and application of that. Similarly, I was talking about the mercy there. We should not be merciful to ourselves, otherwise we'll wake up at 10 a.m. Okay. And one of the most prominent and very explicit and very easy form of Dayaya Sarva Bhuteshu is what? Preaching. Right? Which is what Prabhupada has launched for us, so that we all can become a part of preaching. So for next 30 minutes, I want to zoom into a little bit more on this particular aspect of Dayaya Sarva Bhuteshu. So are we all together in the flow? First, we started with what is it that we want to do ultimately. We want to satisfy Krishna. Then we saw how it is difficult to satisfy Krishna. And devotees have to do what not to satisfy Krishna. It's not easy. Then we saw, but there is a secret. There are three aspects to that secret. Sense control, Santushtya Yena Kenava, and Daya Sarva Bhuteshu. We discussed some aspects of Daya Sarva Bhuteshu, and now we are discussing the preaching aspect of Daya Sarva Bhuteshu. Are you all together? So far, so good?
Yes.
Okay. So what is preaching? If I ask all of you, what is preaching? Everybody can say some things. Yes, bro. Whatever comes in the mind.
Bring them close to Krishna.
To bring people close to Krishna. Very nice. Any other flavors of it?
Establish a relationship based on Krishna.
To establish, to help them revive their relationship with Krishna.
Make them think that what is the goal of life.
To help them understand the goal of life and the tattva and such things. Wonderful. Anything else that you are missing?
Sharing our knowledge about Krishna.
Sharing our knowledge about Krishna. Very good. So I think similar things I have written here. Spreading the message of God in society, as we are getting from the parampara. Connecting people to Guru and Krishna. Right? And this can happen either through knowledge or through culture. Correct? Both. Prabhupada said that you should spread Krishna consciousness through knowledge, culture, and devotion. KCD. Like that. All three are very important. You see, knowledge brings a conscious change in somebody. So let's say when we give a class or when we share some Bhagavad Gita wisdom with somebody, right? So that's like we are speaking to his mind and brain, and that is going to bring the conscious change in that person. That, what you're saying is right. Okay, from tomorrow I'll do this. You see, that is knowledge. But culture is something even more wonderful. Culture brings an unconscious change in somebody. You just expose people in that culture and naturally they'll become more and more Krishna conscious. And we see that many times happening with many people. Typically, let's say elderly people or many matajis or many children, because not all of them may be philosophically inclined, not all of them may want to hear classes, but you just expose them to a Krishna conscious culture and they will automatically become Krishna conscious. They will know how to take prasadam, they will know how to serve prasadam, they will know how to address each other, they know how to dress automatically. No, they never attended a training program or of discovery yourself or something like that. Right? So that's the role of culture. So that was what is preaching. We all know very clearly what is preaching. Now let's talk about the most important thing. Why to preach? See, many, yes, Prabhuji.
No, you said three aspects, right? Knowledge, culture, and devotion.
Yeah.
Devotion, I couldn't understand.
Devotion is like basically by setting an example. When people, because ultimately that's the hankering of a soul. Like I'll give a small example. Once I was talking to a senior devotee about preaching to some of my relatives. I was saying that they are all connected to some different organizations, and now how to preach to them I was discussing. And they said that best way to preach is by bringing them to our temple and showing them our festivals. Okay, when they see, and then what I did was in our house that day there was some abhishek of the deities and all that. So when I had called them there, they said, "Oh, this is such a wonderful, colorful display of devotion we had never seen earlier." Because devotion is something which naturally attracts every soul, whether it be this body, this organization, that organization. So when they see a display of devotion, when they see joy of devotion, when they see devotion in action, it automatically attracts people. Krishna is so beautiful, Krishna is so wonderful, like that. So by that. And culture is basically creating everything around it. Music, drama, festivals, cooking, how we sit, how we eat, how we talk to people when they come to us. Like that. Like there is this famous thing, right? One drunkard went to a temple. One drunkard went to a temple, and the people there, they took sticks and whatnot and beat him to death, and they said, "Get lost, get out from here." He never again, never ever went to temple. But the same drunkard went to a church, and the church he was received very nicely. So he felt that okay, the doors of church are open for me. You know, I'm not saying that we should, the essence we understood what I'm trying to say, that how we deal with people is so important. So that again comes in culture. Okay. So now we come to this very important thing of why to preach. Now, why it is important to understand why to preach. And all of us know we are just reiterating certain things, so that I can remember myself again. So because many a times in our fast life, we may have to do something because of an expectation of a temple from us, or because of being in a part of a community, everybody is doing it, so I have to do it. Because there is a service authority and they have given me a service. And soon that starts becoming burdensome. Some have more limit to tolerate, some have less limit to tolerate. Usme bhi if we see some ups and downs, then that makes things worse, right? So therefore, it's important for us to remind ourselves time and again, why are we preaching? I mean, as it is, do we have less things to do in life? I mean, at least I know in India life is very busy. I'm sure here also it's very busy. Only a fool has a lot of time. In fact, fool also doesn't have time. You ask a fool, hey, you have some time? No, I'm very busy, he'll say. Right? I'm sure everybody, that to householders, grahasthas. It is said that earlier what a king had to do to maintain an entire kingdom, today a man has to do to maintain his family. That's it, one wife, two children. Yeah, Sri Bhagavatam says that. And what a king had to do to maintain his entire kingdom, now in Kali Yuga, one person has to do. I want to show you one picture.
All kings.
Let me see if I'm able to find it. Just a minute. Because this talk, I think it will be here. I don't know if you all agree with me, but then once I was giving a seminar, I found this picture on internet. I was fitting well to our. Is this not true? Is this not true? So many responsibilities, so many commitments, foaming from morning to night, foaming at mouth. So if you see any outsider, 24 hours busy somehow maintaining their family. Now think of us. We have to add to whatever they are doing, we have to do. Plus 16 round champions. Plus services. Plus preaching. Unimaginable. Unimaginable. I don't know how it's happening and how it's going on, but it's indeed true. So, of course, we should be happy about it that yes, see, Krishna is making us do so many wonderful things. But then the reality is that so if we are not reiterating to ourselves, where will we? Yeah, if we are not reiterating to ourselves that hey, wait a second, why are we doing this? Why are we taking so much pain? Why are we willing to go out of the comfort zone? then the struggle becomes all the more easier and rewarding. The struggle becomes easier and rewarding. Therefore, I want to take like 10 minutes to reiterate this, why we are preaching. First thing, we are not in yet another spiritual organization. ISKCON is not yet another spiritual organization. It's not that, oh, we have to somehow perfect our lives spiritually, we have to become better devotees. It's not like that. We are connected to this parampara, Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And ISKCON is not just a society, but a movement. We say na Hare Krishna movement. It's a movement, it's an andolan, it's a revolution. It's a revolution for preaching. ISKCON is not just a society, but a movement. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given the supreme gift. Say dware achandale kirtana sanchare nama prema mala ganti paraila samsare. The supreme gift which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us is what? He has woven a garland of holy name and pure love of Krishna, and he is garlanding the whole world with that garland. Thus he, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, spread kirtan even among the untouchables. He wove a wreath of the holy name and prema with which he garlanded the entire material world. That's the supreme gift which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 4.40. So now, but in this, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is distributing the fruits. See, why our movement is a preaching movement, we have to understand. That's the first point we are discussing, right? We are discussing why we are preaching. So why we are preaching? Number one, our is a preaching movement. We are not Bhajananandis. We are Goshtianandis, Prabhupada says. We are not Bhajananandis. We are not satisfied with our own spiritual perfection sitting in one corner and chanting. No, we are Goshtianandis. We want to preach. We want to distribute this message. Why? Because we are connected to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are in his parampara. We are Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava. So we are not yet another devotee. We are not. Our main concern is not to somehow or the other spiritually become perfect. We belong to a sampradaya. Somehow, unfortunately, in ISKCON, I don't know in the Western world how it is, but there are so many schools of thoughts even within ISKCON now. As people are becoming more and more mature, as people are becoming more and more spiritually accomplished, there are many schools of thoughts in ISKCON. As people are getting access to more and more literatures, as people are, you are getting what I'm saying? As people, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says crocodile of different philosophies. Now you will never know it may be crocodile, it may not be crocodile. Right? So it's very, very important to always understand that we are not yet another spiritualist. We are a spiritualist in a particular parampara, which has a particular mood. And if we do not be loyal to that mood or parampara, we are not doing good to ourselves. It's so important to understand the mood of the parampara. And our mood in ISKCON or in this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's parampara is preaching. Why? Because that's why he came. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prem Pradayate. Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Varshama. And he is saying that Ekala Malakara Ami Kaha Kaha Yaba Ekala Vakatapala Padiya Vilava. He is telling, I am the only gardener. How many places can I go? How many fruits can I pick and distribute? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling. You see, if we have to understand the words of Krishna, we have to read Bhagavad Gita. If we have to understand the activities of Krishna, we have to read Bhagavad Gita. If we have to understand the mood of Krishna, we have to read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Words of Krishna, activities of Krishna, and mood of Krishna. So Chaitanya Charitamrita gives us the mood of Krishna. What does he want? Why has he come here? What he wants from us? And here is a clarion call, loud and clear. He's saying, I am the only gardener. Of course, he is Supreme Personal God and he can do anything. Lord Ram also could have built the bridge. No, why bridge? Does Lord Ram need to go to Lanka to kill Ram? Does he need to come to this material world to kill Ram? Not even this he has to do. I don't know what he has to do. Probably not even have to think. And then Ravan is getting finished. Switch off. That's it. Right? But yet he did that. Why? To give us an opportunity to serve and become pure devotees. Similarly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this preaching movement, he could have done everything and matter over. But we stand to gain by joining this movement. So once in Pune, many years back, we used to have some senior camps and things like that. In senior camps, some senior devotees would sit on chairs, 4 or 5 chairs, and many devotees would be sitting down, attending. and they would share their inspiration in Krishna consciousness, what brought them to Krishna consciousness, what keeps them going. Because it's important to hear that. Like today we heard Srimati Mataji was talking about Tamal Krishna Maharaj with so much natural affection and spontaneous things she wanted to say. When we hear such great souls and when we witness their experiences, it carries out a lot of purification in our heart. Right? So something like that was going on, and one devotee was sharing that I always from my childhood I wanted to join army. But when I came to Krishna consciousness and after I became devotee, I felt very sad that my childhood dream was to become a soldier. But later I understood that actually I have joined the army. Which army? Chaitanya Prabhupada army, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's army. Prabhupada is the chief commander of that army. So then he was sharing that I'm so happy. My childhood dream is true. He was saying. So that's the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we are not, and this I want to re-emphasize again and again and again. We are not practicing spiritual life just for our sake. We are connected, we are nothing, and we are nowhere. All we are made up of is mercy. And that mercy is coming to us through this parampara. And we have to be loyal to this parampara. And the mood of this parampara is preaching. Number one. Otherwise, we are on our own. Finish. Orphan. We are again orphan. We are orphan. We were orphan. We are orphan. Like that. And therefore, the four pillars of ISKCON. What are the four pillars of ISKCON? Books are the basis. Utility is the principle. Purity is the force. And preaching is the essence. That is why Prabhupada was so careful when he said this. Books are the basis. Purity is the force. Utility is the principle, and preaching is the essence. So important. And I used to always wonder why preaching is the essence. Is it that we want to recruit more and more people so that the show can go on? See, when earlier when people there was more emphasis on making brahmacharis, then to some extent this appeared to be true that okay, you need brahmacharis to be able to run the show, to be able to run the temples, you need full-time people there. Sorry, preach. If you don't preach, how do you get people? If you don't preach, how do you get money? These all may be byproducts, but the real spirit of preaching is not this. The real spirit of preaching is to basically Dayaya Sarva Bhuteshu, to reach out to everybody in the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, which we discussed the bhajan when we began with. Akrodha Paramananda Nityananda Rai. Abhimana Shunya Nitai Nagare Veda. Without Abhiman he is going. Adhama Patita Jiver Dware Dware Giya. Nityananda Balaram, who is anger personified. When Romaharshan Sud did not get up, Balaram took a blade of grass and finished. That Balaram is taking the blade of grass in his mouth and he is going from door to door saying, please chant Hari Hari, please chant Gauranga. Bhaj Gauranga, Prabhu Gauranga, Leho Gauranga, What's the next line? Gauranga, Jay Amara Gauranga Bhaje, Sehoy Amara Pranade. One who says Gauranga, Nityananda Prabhu becomes his servant. That is the mood he is carrying. Because that's the mood of our Sampradaya. Preaching is the essence. So once Radha Gopinath Prabhu in one Govardhan Yatra, he was telling that we have to inherit this transcendental headache. I'm still discussing the first point of preaching. First point, what? That it is, now that we are connected to this parampara, we have to inherit this transcendental headache. What is the transcendental headache? How to spread this message far and wide. We have to inherit that. If we are not having that mood, we cannot call ourselves as Gaudiya Vaishnavas. That's a defining characteristic of Gaudiya Vaishnava. That's a defining characteristic. And we see how much Prabhupada carries that mood. Of course, we talked about Nityananda Prabhu, and this is Prabhupada. Prabhupada's guru gave two instructions to Prabhupada. One was, what was the first instruction Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur gave? You young man, why don't you go into to the Western world and preach in English, the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? And second, whenever you get money, read books. You see, Prabhupada, what a disciple he is. For the first instruction, he created ISKCON, that even after he is gone, the same thing is going on. For the second instruction, he created BBD. Even after he is gone, his disciples are carrying out the instructions of his spiritual master. That is the mood. And you see, any Acharya in our Sampradaya, any Acharya, first book distribution party, Jiva Goswami and all those three people went to that King Virambir and whatnot. First book distribution party. Book distribution, even when there was no printing, they are writing on hand and making copies and distributing.
That's the mood of our parampara. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told the six Goswamis, and that's what they told their followers. We are Rupanugas, we are Prabhupada. Prabhupada in the age of 70 is leaving Vrindavan, taking so much headache to give Vrindavan to the whole world. Because that's the mood. If we don't do that, we are not Gaudiya Vaishnava, unfortunately. And if we are not Gaudiya Vaishnava, we are nowhere. It's not that we, go to WhatsApp University. Everybody understands. Here also there is WhatsApp University. WhatsApp University.
Yeah.
Here also very common and prominent. Yeah. So in WhatsApp University, people are having a lot of spiritual knowledge. Many all over the world. And then ISKCON devotees also are, see, whatever we can use in service of Prabhupada and Krishna, wonderful, we also say. But then we should not just become a notebook full of all spiritual knowledge and not belonging to a parampara and sampradaya. Then we'll be nowhere, unfortunately. Because our only qualification is our connection to Prabhupada, our connection to the parampara. That's our only, we should never, Maya is very amazing. Bharat Maharaj, when he was in the fall, he left everything because now he wanted to focus on just completely on Krishna, and he was already at Bhava stage. He was already at Bhava stage. He wanted to give up his kingdom, go to forest so that he can exclusively focus on Krishna and develop, prem and then just go back to God. He got attached to.
Yeah.
Now, did Bharat do a wrong thing by saving the deer? If deer comes in front of you, crying, will you say, hey, get lost? You don't know? I'm doing sadhana. Will we say like that? Is Vaishnava such a hard-hearted person? We will also, our heart will melt. We will also want to save that deer. Bharat, that was not the mistake of him. It was a right thing he did. But Maya, and that is Bharat's strength. To be kind-hearted is weakness or strength?
Strength.
To be noble-hearted is weakness or strength? So Maya used Bharat's strength against him. That is how strong Maya is. Similarly, if we are very, very philosophically oriented and we like to cut copy paste from various sources, especially WhatsApp University or various sampradayas, wonderful if we can use them nicely in service of Krishna. The more understanding we develop, the better, different acharyas and all that. But if that makes us an orphan, or if that makes us just a notebook full of all information from everywhere without belonging to one father, without belonging to a parampara, then unfortunately operation successful, patient life. And that mood demands that we have to inherit this transcendental headache. We cannot be sitting quietly. We have to, of course, now on a practical basis as householders, we cannot be always thinking about it. But what it means is, okay, we should have taken up some service which is contributing to this. That's it. That's right. So we have to become agent of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy in parampara. And therefore, we should, whenever we look at ourselves in the mirror, we should not see us as devotees. We should see us as ourselves as trying to become devotees. That's another thing which we all have to always remember. That we all are trying to become devotees. So therefore, we are sadhakas. But that's not enough. We are not just sadhakas. We are sevak. But that's not enough. We are sanik. So sadhaka means a practicing devotee. Sevaka means one who serves. So because that's our main identity. And sanik means soldier. So we have to always remember who are we? Soldiers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's army. No choice now. What to do, unfortunately. Yeah, we may relax once in a while, do something, okay. But then our primary thread, that undercurrent which is said, right? Like as a householders, we have to focus on different things at different point in time and things like that is fine. We have not yet become full-time, let us say. Some of us are, but some of us may not be. But still what it means is, just like Prabhupada. Prabhupada got an instruction, but was Prabhupada able to fulfill that instruction then and there? No, he says, I could not fulfill that instruction, but I never forgot that instruction. I postponed that instruction, but I never forgot it. So that was always going on in Prabhupada's mind, always. In fact, throughout his life also, it's not that only in the age of 50 and tea or me thing happened, then he gave up. No. Throughout life also, he kept on trying different things. He kept trying. He gave donations to one above floor or down floor, Wadiyamath opened. So many things he kept doing as a grahastha. Right? But of course, when you have so many other responsibilities, there's a limit to how much you can do. So in that limit, Prabhupada was doing everything, first of all. And secondly, he was always thinking, when will I increase this limit? When will I increase this limit? When will I increase this limit? And as soon as that tea or me thing happened, then he said, okay, now I take this opportunity. Narada Muni, Narada boy, when serpent, bit The mother, Narad thought, okay, probably now my last statement is on, I go out. Same mood. Narad Muni went out for preaching that. Prabhupada also went out of the, okay, be done with it, I will go out and preach. Yeah. Because that is going on as an undercurrent. So today we may be able to do something, not do something, whatever, but this should always be there whenever we wake up in the morning and whenever we sleep at night. Who are we? How have we got this chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra? What is our identity? And therefore, I know some Prabhupada disciples, they always emphasize this, that whenever they would enter Prabhupada's room, they would offer obeisances and work. Audibly they will say, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Vicharne. Every time, Hari Swami Prabhu says, every time you would bring a roti or chapati to serve, you would offer obeisances, give chapati. Again, you go out in from kitchen and giving another chapati, again offer obeisances and audibly say this. All Prabhupada disciples, or Vaishnava Prabhu was telling that many devotees have this tendency to recite these pranam mantras in mind, and offering obeisances. Anytime Prabhupada disciples sees them, they will correct. They'll say, I have heard many Prabhupada disciples like that. It may not be true for everybody, but the point is, they say that no, we have to be audibly say this so that we are conscious of who we are. Like, when we offer bhoga, we offer through Guru, through Prabhupada. We cannot directly approach Krishna. So connectivity to parampara is so important for our existence. We are not some independent devotees. That, now I have been chanting 16 rounds from 20 years. So now I am myself also a big sadhu, it seems. I can have my own ashram, now I can have my own followers. I can have my own spiritual movement. No, never. We are only always existing as long as we are connected to Prabhupada. As soon as we are cut like that kite, the string is cut, then finished. Then only we caught up in some tree and it will be torn and that's it. That is how we look like. We are shining right now only because we are connected with Prabhupada. As soon as we are disconnected, we cannot have our own movement. So it's so important to understand this. And you see this mission, the mood, the transcendental headache which I was talking about, this may not be visible, but you see in the early times, whatever letter Prabhupada would write, from San Francisco, from Los Angeles, he would say Camp Los Angeles, Camp San Francisco. You see, just like in military, they have these bases and camps. That is the mood of army which Prabhupada is carrying. You see here, I wish I could have zoomed in. You see, here you see it says Camp ISKCON Radha Krishna Temple. You see here it says Camp Los Angeles ISKCON. You see here Camp some Bombay something. He's thinking his different temples to be like military bases or camps. Because he's having that mood of, the army, that soldier. And he's the captain, he's the chief Senapati Bhakta of that. And Prabhupada writes this in Srimad Bhagavatam introduction also. Prabhupada says, in the course of his preaching work, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you remember in Srimad Bhagavatam introduction, there is a life sketch of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, full life sketch of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In that, somewhere Prabhupada writes, in the course of his preaching work, he used to send daily all his followers, including Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Thakur Haridas, two chief whips of his party, from door to door to preach the Bhagavatam. And then 2-3 sentences later, Prabhupada says, as far as preaching work in the Sankirtan movement was concerned, everyone was expected to do his daily share according to the order of the Lord. So that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That time also it was going on. Not that right now somehow we have to maintain our movement, somehow we have to maintain ISKCON temples, so therefore we need more people. It's not like that. It's the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood why he has come to this planet, and we are all Rupanukas, we are Gaudiya Vaishnavas, so we have to inherit that transcendental headache, which requires going out in the spread zone, because to preach requires anxiety. His permission is there, not there, somebody is coming, somebody is going. Yesterday 20 people were there, today only 2 are there. We all know, all of us who are preaching Quran, we know what big problem and anxiety it is, right? We know one thing for sure, that we are making advancement in that. So that was point number 1, why we are preaching. First point. And it's so vital that we are not devotees with independent existence. We are devotees connected to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and in that parampara. And we have to imbibe the mood of that parampara. Of course, we are broad-minded to other paramparas. Now, this is another topic, loyalty and broad-mindedness. It's a completely different topic on its own and a very, very important topic for senior mature devotees to understand. Loyalty to your parampara, broad-mindedness to other paramparas, like Sri Vaishnavas or Rudra Sampradaya. Similarly, loyalty to ISKCON, broad-mindedness towards Gaudiya Math. Loyalty to your parents broad-minded to other parents. Loyalty to your group broad-minded to other groups. So this loyalty versus broad-mindedness is a very important topic, just like humility versus self-confidence. That's another topic. See, we are so fortunate that some senior devotees, exalted devotees, they have done some wonderful seminars and there is so much wonderful things to learn from there. But if you just think about it, is it not a contradictory point, humility versus self-confidence? Like, many times we think humility means no self-confidence, but actually both coexist. Similarly, many times we think loyalty means becoming like, okay, my guru, my deity. What about other gurus? Okay, ISKCON. What about other outside genuine sampradayas? Okay, Krishna. What about demigods? You see what I'm trying to say? And that's what creates problems at times. Extremes create problems. And because we think that either you can be loyal or you can be broad-minded. But when we hear from senior devotees, we understand how they coexist. Loyalty and broad-mindedness, humility and self-confidence. And I'll not digress. So that is the first thing we talked about. Why we are preaching. Second thing is, okay, now it is not our misfortune that we have got connected to this parampara. Had we been connected to some other parampara, probably we would not have taken this way. It's not just that. It's also an inherent aspect of practicing Krishna consciousness. Sorry, I'll just put this on charge. Okay. So it's not just that, oh, just because we are in this parampara, therefore we have to now inherit this constant headache. I wish I was in some other parampara, like would have been more cool. This whole headache of teaching and not have been there. It's not that. Because there's another aspect to it. I think it got disconnected. So the other aspect to it is, I think I got a little late, so it has just completely run out of battery, I think.
Night charger?
Is it working?
Night charger. Anyone with night charger?
No, this is there, this will be working.
USB-C, right? Any USB-C.
Ah,
Yeah.
You should run your laptop now.
no, it's not a power button, it's just a lock or unlock. Actually, it goes that side, now, so maybe if we put something. Yeah,
Let's
But I think I realized it's late, so it has completely run out of charge. It takes up 2 minutes to get started. But anyway, we continue this. So it's not just that, okay, we are connected to this parampara, so we have to inherit this certain headache. It's an inherent part of practicing Krishna consciousness. And
Just showing the
Charger is
meanwhile,
fine.
can you take your laptop? Because
Yeah.
I think PPT is telling me. Let the Zoom go on. Meanwhile, you just. Entire screen. Not sure. It would be. I think normally when it comes completely go out of charge, now it takes some time to come up, I think. So that's what must be happening. Okay. Thank you. It's visible here, yeah. In the presentation, you can just check in some Zoom whether in the presentation mode also it is visible or not, and then
It should be.
in the presentation mode also, just click here. Yeah, good. Go down. Down. Go down. Yeah, upar, upar. More. Yeah, I'll do. Okay. Yeah, so we discussed this. Yeah, so the second point why we are preaching is that this is an inherent part of the process. So you all know this tripod of bhakti, just like there's a camera has a tripod. There's this tripod of bhakti, which is Harinam, Vaishnav Seva, Jivdaya. So Jivdaya is an important aspect of our practice of bhakti. The great sages began to think that although a Brahmana is peaceful and impartial because he is equal to everyone, it is still not his duty to neglect poor humans. By such neglect, a Brahmana's spiritual power diminishes, just as water kept in a cracked pot leaks out. This is a very important point. This comes in Anga and Vena section. So when Anga Maharaj, had his son Vena, who was not a worthy king, then Brahmanas, by power of mantras, they killed him. And after he was killed, so that problem was gone, but then other problems started happening in kingdom, because a kingdom without king will have natural consequences. So then the Brahmanas were thinking like this, that hey, wait a second, we cannot neglect the welfare of the humans. Because if we do that, then our spiritual power will diminish. Now, this is a very important point. If we are not preaching, actually, whatever spiritual merit we have acquired gradually starts becoming lesser and lesser and stale. Just like a well. In a well, let's say if a well in our village in India or wherever, if a well is not used to take out water regularly, what will happen to that well? It will become stagnant and dried and soon dirty and finished. Then it will be abolished, like finished. So therefore, it's important that we regularly keep taking water out of the well. Similarly, as devotees, it is important that we keep giving Krishna consciousness to people, whoever we meet, our family members, our children, or our neighbors, or inviting people for program, whichever way. It's important that we keep giving out. That's important. But it is also important to keep taking, because if we are only giving, if we are only giving, well will become dry. So therefore, well has to be near some big water body, some lake or a pond or a river. Well has to be near that, so that it takes also, gives also. Both are important. Only taking, no giving means water is becoming stagnant. As the Brahmanas are saying here, the spiritual power will diminish just as the water kept in cracked pot leaks out. Only taking, no giving. In fact, it will also create indigestion. Like only eating. Similarly, only giving, no taking. Where are we getting our nourishment from? We will become weak if our sadhana and our intake is not strong. So therefore, both are important. If they do not do something to relieve the distress, this Prabhupada is writing in the purport of the same verse. Prabhupada is saying, if they do not do something to relieve the distress condition of human society, it is said that due to such neglect, their spiritual knowledge diminishes. Almost all the sages go to the Himalayas for their personal benefit. But Prahlad Maharaj said that he did not want liberation alone. He decided to wait until he was able to deliver all the fallen souls of the world. That's our mood. And Prabhupada, all purports, two things are very prominent in Prabhupada purports. One is defeating Mayavad. Even if the verse has nothing to do with Mayavad, translation has nothing to do with Mayavad, Prabhupada would bring a Mayavadi from somewhere and he would read left and right. You will see that in Prabhupada's purpose, right? And the second is this preaching. That's why we have started this Hare Krishna movement, or that's why we have inaugurated this, like that Prabhupada says. That's very prominent mood of Sampradaya. Okay, that was the second reason why we preach. Third reason, and this is the main part of the presentation, will be done in next 10 minutes. What is the third main reason why we are preaching? Actually, it is a symptom of making progress in Krishna consciousness. I'll not get into the details of the shloka, but the shloka says that by everyday reading, hearing, chanting, we are making little progress. By everyday reading, hearing, chanting. Just like by every morsel of food, three things are happening together. Tushti, Pushti, Shuddhapayo. You see here? Actually, it's the font in his laptop is not there, but this last line, first word is Tushti, second word is Pushti, and third word is Shuddhapayo. So this verse says that with every day of chanting, reading, hearing, whatever we are doing, three things are happening to us simultaneously. What are the three things? Bhakti, Par-ish Anubhav, and Virakti. Three things are happening at once to us. Bhakti, that means we are getting devotion more and more on a daily basis. Par-ish Anubhav means we are getting direct experience of Krishna. The more we are practicing Krishna consciousness in our life, the more we are able to see Krishna in our life. That will happen more, this verse is saying. And third, Viraktir Anyatra. Viraktir Anyatra. That means detachment from other things. So the verse is saying that with every day of practice of Krishna consciousness, these three things happen to us, just like with every morsel of food, three things happen to us. Tushti, Pushti, and Shuddhapayo. Tushti means Satisfaction. I was very hungry. Now I'm feeling satisfied. Pushti means feeling strength, and Shuddha means hunger is going away. So satisfaction. Pushti means portion, nourishment, strength, and third is hunger is going away. So Radhesham Prabhu once when he was giving a class to this, he was comparing Tushti, Pushti, and Shuddha to something. What is that something? He was saying Tushti means satisfaction. That means when, and we discussed the Yayatma Suprasidati. Savai Pumsa Paro Dharmo Yato Bhakti Radhokshaje Ahetuki Apratihata Yayatma Suprasidati. So that is obviously we know. Tushti. When as we practice Krishna consciousness more and more, we feel satisfaction from within. Tushti. Pushti, we feel strength to do what? So Prabhuji was telling, you get strength, you preach. You get strength to preach. When we practice more and more Krishna consciousness, when we make progress in Krishna consciousness, we become more and more powerful to preach. It does not mean just to sit on Vyasasana and giving class. It also means that, okay, you are meeting some co-traveler in train or some relative, you are talking to some relative. You are getting more and more courage to share Krishna with them. You are getting more and more, because our thoughts are Krishna conscious. See, I'm sure we all have seen this. At least I have seen this, that, earlier we used to have, when relatives or some guests would come to our home, we would talk of politics and, okay, what is this government doing? It's not a good government. We should better change. I only should become prime minister. Okay, did you buy this land, here? Okay, what are the prices, stock prices going on? This is a typical conversation. And I'm sure every devotee faces this in their life, that as they continue practicing Krishna consciousness more and more, the same relatives or guests now, they come, they say, Hare Krishna. Or the talk also, we have some BTG in our center table somewhere here and there, some darshan book or something, they take that. Some Krishna conscious conversation starts, right? Or we talk about some ISKCON temple, we talk about deities, right? So as we make progress in Krishna consciousness, we get pushti, that means the strength, and that strength is basically to be able to tell about Krishna to others. So it's a symptom of spiritual progress. And Shuddha basically, the hunger, going of hunger is compared to our material desires going away. Like that. So why I was talking about this verse, so we talked about why we are preaching. First was, that's our sampradaya. Our movement is not a society, our ISKCON is not a society, it's a preaching movement. And we are Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we should never forget. We are not just some spiritualists or transcendentalists. We are Rupanugas, we are Prabhupadanugas, we are Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Number one. Number two, what we discussed is that it is an inherent part of practicing Krishna consciousness. Shravanam, Kirtanam. Kirtanam means what? Speaking about Krishna. So how can you practice Krishna consciousness without preaching? Bhakti has a tripod. Harinam, Vaishnav Seva and Jivadaya. Without Jivadaya, Bhakti is incomplete. And third, which we are talking about is, actually the more we practice Bhakti nicely, the more we get power to share it with others. We will get the courage to share it with others. Fourth reason is the best way and easiest way to get mercy. Ultimately, we all want mercy. At least I know that I am not at all qualified to go anywhere in life. Spiritual world. What power we have? The only ability we have is to please our Guru or please Prabhupada, so that they can, take us back door. Just like in ISKCON, one who has been there for 3-4 years in festival and all, poor public people, well wishers, they'll be standing in some big queue. And some expert, 2-3 years, 4-year-old devotees, some door will be there, they'll go down, take prasadam, happy, they're going home. Similarly, I don't know if it happens here, I'm just telling you here. I have no experience of here. It's a standard, it's called standard everywhere. So, similarly, Prabhupada has a key, in his dhoti. Some outside, if he comes and say, knock, 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 they'll say, get lost. So many millions of years back, you went and go there only. I don't know what kind of a rascal you are. Then we'll say, Prabhupada, do something. Prabhupada will say, hey, he is a person who has given his life for me. And he'll say, come. Then he'll take us to that back door, he'll take out the key, and then he'll give us the back door entry. Actually, that's a fact. And then we know the Bhagavad Krishna himself is saying, Na cha tasman manusheshu kaschin me priya krittamaha, bhavita na cha me tasman anya priyataro bhuvi. Krishna is telling that no, na cha me tasman manusheshu kaschin me priya krittamaha. Bhavita na cha tasman anya priyataro bhuvi. Nobody was more dear to me or will be more dear to me than this person who is sharing the message of Krishna to others. Krishna himself is telling. So that means this is the way by which we can very easily become very dear to Krishna. Just like, how Prabhupada, we said, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale. He is very dear to Krishna on this planet. Why? because he is taking all pains to spread Krishna's message in society. Now, if we can do that to some extent, will we not become dear to Krishna? And what do we want ultimately? What is success? To please Krishna. And this is the easiest way and the best way to please Krishna. And by sharing Krishna consciousness with others, our Krishna consciousness nourishes. I'm sure each one of us have this experience that when we have to give a class, we become better devotees. We have to set a right example, which is also good as long as we are not duplicitous. We are looking forward. And when we read here, our reading hearing remains fresh. So preaching in one shot addresses many things. We remain a very vibrant devotee, enthusiastic devotee. We take on responsibilities. We get realizations. When we meet different kinds of people, we get realizations by rendering those services. I would like to quickly talk about this example which one school professor did in his school. He called all students one day to his class with balloons. So everybody got one balloon from their home. And he asked all of them in the class, okay, everybody inflate these balloons. So everybody inflated the balloons, tied the knot. Everybody has a balloon. Now he told, okay, now write your name. So everybody wrote their name in their balloon. And he said, on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, I will say, all of you will have to just throw the balloons in the air. Okay? And then after 2 minutes, you all have to find your balloons in which you have written your name. So then everybody did the same. They wrote their names and he said 1, 2, 3. And then everybody threw their balloons as far as they could and as fast as they could. And then 2 minutes, all the balloons kind of settled down. And then he said, okay, now try to find your balloons. And there was a commotion in the room, everybody was, because the balloons had flown here and there. So they were all turning, some balloons were bursting, popping, and they were lifting a balloon, array, it's not my name. They were all trying to find their name. After 10 minutes also, hardly 2, 3 people only got their balloons. And then he said, okay, let's play this game again tomorrow. He again called the boys with the balloons tomorrow. He again asked them to inflate the balloons and write their names. And he said, but in today's game, what we will do is, instead of you trying to find your balloon, you pick one balloon, you see name and you give that to that person. Whoever balloon is it, you give to that person. Understood the difference? And then he said, okay, 1, 2, 3. In 1 minute, everybody got their balloons. And he said there's a very important lesson in life. If you are trying to find your own happiness, you will not get it. You will make others happy, you contribute to their life, and you will become happy. Very, very, very graphic and instructive example. So when we live for the sake of others, see, Dayaya Sarva Bhuteshu, when we are preaching in one sense, we should not have the ulterior motive of only this ISKCON or, this also should be a motive that yes, we don't want to, just live only for our sake. Somehow maintaining, like a Graha Medi, somehow maintaining my family. We want to live for the sake of others. Radhesham Prabhu was once sharing with me. Vyasacharya Das, I want to be like a candle. I want to be like a candle, and I want to burn myself, completely. I mean, he was just sharing his mood of sacrifice or mood of service and the preaching mood. I want to be like that candle. So, yeah, so that's very important, living for the sake of others. And we know, I will not get into this shloka about this, prane, arthe, dhiya, vacha, that it is a duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for the benefit of others with his life, wealth, intelligence, and words. And our preaching movement gives us opportunity to do this. When we open our house, it requires some money, some expenditure. We are cooking food, we are cooking bhoga for Lord and offering prasadam. We incur those expenses, whether we are collectively giving it to temple and then temple incurring it, or we are doing it. In some way or the other, our praner, arther, dhiya, vacha, all 4 are getting engaged in Krishna's service for the welfare of others. It's a very beautiful activity. There's another shloka which says that trees don't enjoy their fruits. Clouds don't enjoy their rain. Rivers don't drink their water. Similarly, great souls, they don't exist for themselves. They exist for others. Very nice, this is shloka. When Parikshit Maharaj got this news from Shringi that in 7 days Takshak will come and he will bite you, that time we all know how Parikshit Maharaj left everything and went to the bank of the Ganges to understand what's the thing to be done in these 7 days. Suta Goswami and the sages, they became very curious. A great king like Parikshit does not live for himself. You see this point, same? Trees, they don't take their own fruits. Clouds, they don't drink their own water. Rivers, they exist for others. And great souls, they exist for others. Similarly, the Suta Goswami, Shaunakadi Rishis, what is that? Shaunakadi, sorry, not Suta, Shaunakadi Rishis. When they are inquiring from Suta Goswami, they are saying that Parikshit was a great king. And great kings, they don't live for themselves. Then why did he give up the kingdom, and went to fast until death, as if he is not concerned about the welfare of the citizens? Because they were sensing this contradiction, because great souls, they live for the welfare. Are you getting why I'm bringing that point, right? And then, of course, then later that discussion continues. But then this is the point, that living for the sake of others. And when we do that, tapyante lokatapena param aradhanam, that is the best form of worshipping Krishna. When we undergo sacrifices or tapasya for the sake of bringing people closer to Krishna, that's the best form of worshipping Krishna. And last few slides, I also want to talk about in what mood we should be preaching. So there are three things whenever we do anything. Activity, like we have to do the right activities. We have to do the right activities with right attitude. And we have to do the right activities with right attitude in association of devotees. When we do that, then that's even better. It's like, icing on the cake. Correct? So do you know the story of a car mechanic? So once there was this rich man. He was going from one city to another city. Maybe from Seattle, he was coming to Samamesh. So he was crossing some suburbs, Bellevue and then Redmond and then Samamesh, I think, something like that. So in between, there was a forest kind of area where, dur, tak, quite far, there was nobody to be seen. And as it always happens, his car broke down. And his car broke down and he was now wondering what to do. He's starting, not starting only, what to do now. So then he was, kind of pushing it from behind, and soon one car mechanic came. He said, "Arey, don't worry, I'll fix your problem." He said, "Oh, thank you. You are a godsend. If you were not there today, I would have just died and all that." So he said, "Okay." And then he went, sat inside the car. He opened the bonnet, and then he turned on the ignition, and he heard the sound, some sound, what kind of sound is coming. Then he came out, then in the bonnet, then he did something. And then at one precise place, he took a hammer and he bet like this. And then he sat inside the car and car started. And so he came out and told this person that, "Okay, now you can go." And this rich person said, "Okay, how much money?" He said, $1,000. He said, "What? $1,000? I mean, what did you do? You just, you put the hammer like this, right? I mean," he said, "Yeah, hammer is $1 only." That was $1. Where to hit the hammer, that is $999. Similarly, in our spiritual life, activity is $1. There some maybe $50. But $950 is attitude. Attitude. Because we may be doing the same activity, but if we are not doing with the right attitude, we are probably going nowhere. And therefore, we have to just remember these 2-3 attitudes of preaching. The first one is, when we are preaching, we are not giving. Many times I have seen preachers who become proud because of preaching. I know more, they know less, so I am speaking and I am giving. It's not that we are giving, it's we are sharing. What are we sharing? The gift which we have received. Just like children, when they go to school, they like to share. If let's say mother has cooked some pasta or some pizza, children naturally they like to take. I mean, my daughter says this to my wife. "Oh, today you have cooked pizza or pasta or noodles, please keep little more." And she asks, "Why?" She says, "Oh, because I want to give to others also." Naturally, you want to share if you have got something good. That's a nature of soul. So similarly, we all have received this good fortune of Krishna consciousness in our life. We all have received this gift of Krishna consciousness. So what is the right attitude of preaching? We are not giving Krishna consciousness to somebody. We are only sharing our good fortune. That somehow we have got this good fortune, now we are sharing with you. Number one. Number two, we have to do this as humble instrument in the hands of Guru and Krishna. It's not my mission. It's whose mission? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. Coming down through parampara. So we have to engage our passion in Prabhupada's compassion. So, and this is interesting. I like this line a lot, the last one. If I am preaching, let us say, and through my program, some people are becoming devotees, or later, some years later, they will become temple presidents and things like that, then I should not think, he became a devotee because of me. Rather, I should think he became a devotee in spite of me. I probably set all wrong examples. I don't know how I behaved. I don't know how I did what I did. Still, he is so sincere that he became a devotee. And now probably I'll also get benefited, So please, Prabhu, please remember me also when you go back to God. The second point. Third, again, very important point. And in the interest of time, I'll not get into details of this. But especially in the Western world, or in fact, even in it, because it's all post-modern world now today. This is called as post-modern world. And in postmodern world, it's very important to connect to people and be relevant to them. Just like you see here, what you want to say, what they are interested in. We have to find the overlap and we have to start from there. And that's why we have yoga. We preach here through yoga, or we preach here through cooking, or we preach here through music, or we preach here through festivals, because probably that attracts them, which is important, which is needed. So just to quickly say, right, when Prabhupada went to America, when he came here for the first time, for 3 weeks, when he was at Sally Agrawal's house, like a small child, he was very curious to know about everything. Oh, this vacuum cleaner. Oh, because that time the gap was a lot. See, even 20 years back when I had come, I mean, when I had first come to US, that time also the gap was lot. But now there is no gap. India lifestyle, India houses, structure, quality of things, everything is same as here. In good cosmopolitan cities, everything is absolutely the same. Imagine in Prabhupada's time how much it would have been. I mean, things unbelievable, unimaginable things were happening here already. So Prabhupada was very curious to know about those things. He was curious to understand the mindset of people, what matters to them, what does not matter to them, so that he can present Krishna consciousness accordingly. He is an acharya to present according to time, place, and circumstances. So it's important that we connect to people. Even when he was in India, before he had gone to America, in that Vyas Puja offering in 1936, in that poem to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada says at some place, "Oh, thou art sweeter than May." And I heard this from a senior devotee. In India, you would not say anything to be sweeter than May, because that's like sweeter like May. Yeah, sweeter than May. Because May in India is like a worst season, like very hot, May, June, worst. But it seems in America, it's a very pleasant season. So Prabhupada, is that so? May time is like very nice time, best of all the months. So even in 1936, Prabhupada was thinking about the Western countries, and he was thinking that May is the best. Similarly, you are the best. Something like that. I heard this from senior devotee, how he's carrying that mood. Another point is very important point again. We have to do Yukti Purvak Prachar and Preeti Purvak Vyavhar. I don't know if you understand Hindi to this extent, but Yukti Purvak Prachar means innovative preaching ideas. And Preeti Purvak Vyavhar means warmth in dealings with each other. Because people would not die out of darkness, but they would die out of cold. People so lightness is knowledge, light is knowledge, and darkness is ignorance. And cold behavior versus warm behavior, right? Now, people would die out of darkness or they would die out of cold. Cold. Nobody would ever die out of darkness, but people would die out of cold. So our preaching should be warm. We should give warmth to people. So it's very important that, and we see that in Prabhupada and Mahaprabhu and everywhere. Like many times we take their examples of how they defeated people, but we do not see how they dealt with people. Like for example, even when there are many things, but in the interest of time, I'm just cutting short. Like even when he defeated Keshav Kashmiri, that Pandit, all his students, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a grammar teacher, right? So he defeated Keshav Kashmiri in front of everybody, and all children started saying, hey, like that they started doing. Make them quiet. And he said, sorry, my students are doing like this, I apologize, like that. And Prabhupada also so many times, he so wonderfully extended his warmth to everybody. And so many Prakashanand Saraswati, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard for 7 days without speaking anything. Then he spoke. So these things are very, very important, when we meet the postmodern people. See, some people are ready-made disciples. They are already ready. Okay, Prabhuji, please tell what I am supposed to do. But today people are not like that. They want to themselves search and inquire about the absolute truth. People like to keep searching absolute truth whole life, and they would not want to be with somebody who has seen the absolute truth. You are seeing what I'm saying? There is a saying like that I would rather want to keep searching about the absolute truth instead of being with somebody who claims that he has seen the absolute truth. That's the thinking, to keep experimenting, to not come to a conclusion, to keep experimenting. That's the postmodern thinking. So therefore, it's important that we connect to them and we give warmth to them. And finally, purity is the force. That's so important. I got this again on WhatsApp. As I said, WhatsApp University sometimes sends some nice things which I copy paste and keep in my laptop for future printing purposes. Yeah, somebody is searching. I mean, it's a made up thing, just funny thing, but then somebody is searching in Google. Is it okay to skip chanting for 1 day? And Google is answering, Maya wants to know your location. Where are you? So Prabhupada is telling the members of the Hare Krishna movement, chant minimum 16 rounds a day, which can be done without difficulty. And at the same time, they must preach the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu according to the gospel of Bhagavad Gita as it is. One who does so is quite fit to become the spiritual master of the entire world. Once, many years back, I was attending ILS in Mayapur, ISKCON Leader Sangha in Mayapur. And there, different sessions was being given by different GBCs, and one of the GBCs was telling that we have these 4 pillars of ISKCON. Books are the basis, utility is the principle, purity is the force, preaching is the essence. And he told, if all ISKCON followers are not careful, especially the leaders and preachers, if they are not careful in setting the right example and asking the people to do the right thing or training them in the right way, then these 4 principles will change into, instead of books are the basis, it will become checkbooks are the basis. And in many ISKCON temples, I mean, I don't want to say like that, but then, as I said, organization, power, money, prestige, position, whoever has the money calls the shots. Checkbooks are the basis. Then that should not happen ideally. Spirituality should be the prominent thing. What would please Guru and Krishna the most should be the prominent thing, right? But then one of these GVCs in one of those sessions was telling that if we are not careful in maintaining the right standards and disseminating the right standards, then from books are the basis, we will become checkbooks are the basis. From utility is the principle, we will become futility is the principle. That means sincere devotees will work hard, they will exhaust themselves, and finally they will say, what happened? I mean, ISKCON just used me and threw me. There are many people who also say like that, because they go through some wrong experiences, bad experiences, they become victims of some politics or whatnot. Futility is the principle. Third, purity is the force will become majority is the force. And which we know Prabhupada was so against, right? Demon crazy. Democracy, Prabhupada would say, is demon crazy. They said instead of purity is the force, what will happen? Majority is the force. Whatever majority, even though the majority is full, whatever the majority is saying, that will happen. Right? Instead of purity is the force, majority will become force. And instead of preaching is the essence, he said, initiation will become essence. And he was quoting examples of people taking gun and pointing at the spiritual master saying that, will you give me initiation or not? I was alarmed. I was shocked to hear that these things also happening. And this is a fact. If we don't emphasize the pure spiritual principles, then because of this post position and this thing, there is a social stature to being initiated and being second initiated and all that, right? So soon these things will become as if, okay, this is the destination to be achieved. That okay, initiation is the essence. That means okay, you get initiated, now you enjoy a particular social status in ISKCON, and now it's all done. Even though the fact is that that's actually the beginning. You see? So therefore the purity is the force is so important. And of course, achar and prachar, that we have to lead by example. And finally, and this is indeed the last slide, let me just prove this. Yeah. So and this, I personally want to just spend 1 minute in this. If we are frustrated in our lives, if we are not able to manage our duties properly, then any extra services or any extra preaching is only going to become even more burdensome. And when we do that, then are we becoming shining examples of enthusiasm to public, or are we becoming like very morose examples, and they will say, oh no, you better be where you are, I'm happy in my life. I don't want to inherit this whole headache. But when we are happy, when we are enthusiastic, when we are showing to them that yeah, we are so happy, then it makes them feel that, oh, you are so happy, what is it that you are doing? Oh yeah, I'm chanting Hare Krishna, I'm going to Krishna temple, I'm going to meeting Krishna devotees, I'm reading Bhagavatam, that's what is making me happy. You can also try, you will also become happy. You see, that's why a happy devotee is the best preacher. And therefore, I want to end with this note, that especially householders, they should not neglect their duties towards family. In the name of, let's say, not in the name of, but we have to balance things. Like, we cannot become completely one-sided. We have to, I mean, just to give an example, it should not happen that my children are in gutter, I am not even aware where my children are, and I am whole day morning to night out of home giving programs. Once in a while, for the need of the movement, for the need of the society, it is okay. But if that's happening on a regular basis, then it's not good for householders. Right? Now, people tend to go to extremes. Some will go to extreme, okay, let me take care of my family only. Let me take a pause from preaching movement for some time. That is wrong. As we have already discussed, why to preach. That's the inherent part of practicing. What pause? And some people go to other extreme, okay, let me just be whole day out only. I have no idea where my wife is, where my children is. And children have become, they are hating Krishna consciousness now. Because as soon as I take my bead bag, the child thinks that, okay, this bead bag, when the child grows up, the remembrance, the memory of that bead bag which they have is that this was that enemy between me and my father. So we have to be so sensitive and so careful about what message we are giving to the next generation if we want them also to become soldiers of Prabhupada. So we have to be available for them. We have to be even more extra disciplined, and therefore it's even more challenge for the Grahastha. Right? Because we have to, even unknowingly, we should not be passing the wrong message. Arey, yaar, now I have this seva to do. You see now what is happening? The child is there, he's thinking, then why is he taking all this tension then? Why is he wanting to maintain some status in society or what? I mean, they are completely blank slate. They are creating a worldview based on what they are seeing in temple or in house. Right? So it's so important to be, and this cannot be, we cannot fake it, right? See, right now I'm here, I'm faking it. I'm faking to be like a nice devotee and all that. But when I'm at my home, 24/7, my wife is seeing me inside out, my children are seeing me inside out. I cannot fake at home anything. Therefore, it's so important to from within be happy. And that will happen only when we have nicely taken care of things. Just one last example. We know that we have to rise above this body to be able to go back to Godhead, correct? We have to be able to forget this body. We have to be able to forget this world to be able to go to spiritual world. We have to be able to rise above our body, rise above this material world to be able to go to spiritual world. Now, what does that really mean? It does not mean I ignore my body or I neglect my body. Because if I do that, in matter of 5 years or 10 years, this body will not make me chant. It will come in between me and Krishna. You see what I'm saying? So if I prematurely ignore or neglect my body, it will then come in the way of me and Krishna, in between me and Krishna. It will not even let me sit and chant because, oh, my knees are paining now. Why? Because I did not take care of my health. Because I wanted to rise above it to become transcendental, right? That's a wrong way because body will then force us down. And that is not only true for body, it's true for children, it's true for family, it's true for all our material duties, job, everything. If I neglect my job, thinking that, okay, I will, spend more and more time preaching, reading, hearing, chanting in office also, what I'm doing. Prabhu, I'm so lucky. I mean, now in my office, I'm able to do reading, hearing, chanting. I mean, that may be wonderful, but then that cannot be at the cost of your performance in the company because you'll be on road the other day and then for 10 years, you'll not be seen in ISKCON. What did you gain? Penny wise, pound foolish. Right? So it's true for everything. But then, what does it mean then to rise above it? What it means is take care of them in such a nice way that they don't interfere between you and Krishna. If I'm here attacking, hitting say 4s and 6s, my wife is at home defending. So in cricket, there are 2 stumps, right? So one is playing aggressive, one is playing defensive, right? Whatever, the family members, they help each other. There has to be this, nice harmony. And then we have to engage family also, harmonize it. So even higher concept than balance is harmonizing. If we can, whole family only can serve together, then wonderful. Then my going to temple is not coming at the cost of family time. Then whole family only is temple. That's even wonderful, right? And so many other things are there. But I wanted to end on this note that we should be very mature in our approach to Krishna consciousness, and we should not be in extremes. Like that graphic example is, if you remember in India earlier, when there used to be a lot of power cuts, there used to be these the lamp, kerosene oil, if you remember, right? And there are 2 kinds. One was a lantern kind, and the other was open from top, the lamp shape. You understand? So this lamp shaped glass thing and kerosene oil, and there was a knob to increase or decrease the volume. That wick would go up and down, right? Now imagine that. Now if the wick is completely down, no burning only, no light only, nothing you are doing for society, nothing you are doing for ISKCON. That is a Roman extreme, wrong. Other extreme, you have increased it so much, and if you, as children, I'm sure you all have tried. Increase it so much fire, whole thing becomes black. You've seen that suit, the whole suit. So we took inspiration from the candle example, and we burnt so much the house only started burning. That we don't want, right? Or we burnt so much that we became all black only. We brought bad name to Grahastha ashram. Wife is going to Guru and complaining. Huh? So we are supposed to decorate our ashram, not contaminate our ashram like that. And that will happen when a Grahastha takes care of duties also nicely. And both can happen wonderfully if we are sincere and then Krishna gives intelligence. So I'm not advocating in either this extreme nor that extreme. Both are very, in fact, we discussed how we have preaching is an inherent part of our practice in Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I'll just quickly summarize the whole flow what we discussed. Okay, very quickly. There is a home button. Okay. So first we talked about whatever we do, the purpose of that is satisfaction of Krishna. That's the first thing we talked about. Second thing we talked about is, yeah, that's the ultimate goal, to satisfy Krishna. Then we saw it is not easy to satisfy Krishna. And the more we go ahead in this journey, the more the criteria which Krishna has. So we are racing towards this, but it's like a moving target. It's like a moving target, right? Because indeed, we are on a path which is really, really glorious. The goal is very, very high, very lofty. And then we saw examples of what it takes to satisfy Krishna. Then we saw, but wait a second, there is a secret. What is the secret? Three things. Sense control, and we discussed many things there. Second, yena kenava, being satisfied. And third, dayaya sarva bhuteshu. And we discussed several aspects of it, and the most important aspect of it is preaching. In preaching, we discussed, okay, it means different things. Then we discussed some important points about why to preach, why it is why it is important to remind ourselves again and again, because as it is a grahastha's life, remember that donkey photo which I showed? As it is a grahastha is overburdened, plus chanting, plus services in temple, plus preaching, unimaginable. So therefore, if we don't understand the right reason, we will not have that motivation and that fire, right? And then in right reasons, first we discussed, we are not yet another devotee. ISKCON is not yet another spiritual society. It is a movement. And therefore, we have to inherit that transcendental headache. And therefore, preaching is the essence. Right? So we discussed all this. This was first. And therefore, we should not see ourselves as devotees, but we should see ourselves as sadhakas, as seva, and most importantly, as sainik, soldiers. First thing. Second thing we discussed was, oh, you know what? It's not just about our parampara, so that you will be now cursing it. Actually, it's a part of the process. Then, secondly. Third, then we saw, oh, not only it's a part of the process, actually it is a symptom of making progress. The more you make progress in Krishna consciousness, the more you want to share with others about how you are feeling. That was third thing. Fourth, oh, we want to get mercy of Krishna. We want to please Krishna. What can be easier way than this? Just tell about Krishna to others. Fifth, we should not live only for ourselves. We should live for others. And preaching gives us a very wonderful way to do that. If we dedicate ourselves to ISKCON, it's such a wonderful way of living by this principle of the Shastras. That, oh, we are not living for ourselves only. And then we can die peacefully. And then we discussed about some attitude about preaching. We began with how attitude is more important than activity. That $99 example. And then in attitude, we discussed number one, we are not giving, we are sharing. Number two, we have to be humble instrument in the hands of Guru Krishna. Number three, we have to be relevant to people. We have to connect to people. Otherwise, they're not even here. That's why Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjun. If Krishna wanted, he could have spoken Bhagavad Gita to a sannyasi. And he could have spoken in some forest. But Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjun, who is a householder, that too in the middle of a battlefield, that too at the climax. To highlight that this is so relevant to even householders who are in the middle of fights. Fights means not led by fights means in the middle of their very struggle for material existence. Right? So example is being said by Krishna himself right there, that how it's so relevant, making it so relevant for everyone. Third, fourth, warmth is so important. We don't want to conquer people, we want to conquer their hearts. We want that, okay, people should feel that, I have this place, I don't want to leave it. I don't want to give it up. And finally, we discussed how purity is the force. That should be the fuel. That should be the engine always. Any temple, any community which compromises this will soon either go somewhere else or will shatter and things like that. Setting a right example, achar and prachar. And finally, as I said, especially for grahasthas, we should decorate our ashram and we should do our material duties also nicely in such a way that they don't come in the way of us and Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I don't know, I think I took. I'm sorry, I overshot it by I don't know how much time. But if there are any questions, comments, any discussion, or if seniors can add some corrections.
This is wonderful. This is definitely a class in the temple.
Hare Krishna.
Right? Because what you covered is like a recap of everything.
Yeah.
It's important. Unfortunately, we find time where you can actually come and give, but instead, or anything rather than
For my-
some space. He was wonderful, and it actually resonates with what our mood here is. Because if you see, we know it's not here, we're doing business at, there's some concept called doing business at, it's called very cultural center.
Ah,
So, long time back, Harlas Nagar actually changed outside, we should actually speak through our culture. So let's bring very culture
yes.
center as a problem. And we are all Hispanics, but let's stay in our core heart, but to go to the culture. That's
Yes.
why all these many various festivals outside.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Relevance.
The
Yeah, exactly.
free food truck.
Yes.
He's actually pioneering.
Very nice. It's actually it's my privilege and fortune, Prabhuji, to be here. And you are also senior, and already you are doing so much and living whatever we have discussed. But I thought, okay, for my own purification, let me remember these things so that I can speak to myself. Please bless and pray that I can follow whatever I spoke.
Everything you mentioned is actually practically easy to follow also, right? Fill all the holes with the supreme hole.
Just whatever I heard, I have shared because it's good to remind ourselves these things. Very nice these things. I really like these punchlines.
Actually, the punchline, the last punchline, what you had in ILS. If we don't follow.
Yeah, that is also. And again, that's not something which I made up because I cannot have the audacity to say like that. Coming from GVC, I was really my first impression was a shock that this is happening and can happen if we are not. Because currently even GVC is trying to make sure that how because Prabhupada disciples are gradually they are not going to be here for long, we all know. So they are also the most prominent thing in their mind is that how some things can be set right so that for future there are no problems. And I sometimes wonder what kind of responsibility they must be feeling on their head. Because whatever they are the only live link to Prabhupada. And once they are gone, we'll hardly have any live links to Prabhupada. So whatever Prabhupada wanted, his mood and all that, it's their responsibility to pass it on. So I can only imagine how much anxiety they would be having on their shoulders right now. And therefore, this GBC college, I mean, they're giving more structure to all these things now. In fact, even IDC course, all that is because of giving some structure to things so that at least bare minimum is ensured. So, thank you, Prabhuji, for sharing that point. Anybody, any comments or any questions?
Very, very insightful and very good examples and it was kind of refueling of our service to our more teaching and sadhana continuation.
So all the devotees here are actively helping in preaching and preaching.
Preaching through burritos, preaching through halwa.
Yeah, everybody is telling he's like a kitchen specialist and that too super specialty is halwa.
You should actually offer the baklava. He learned new things and very happy to see devotee.
Yeah.
And he is preaching through our various Vedic center and all those things.
You have such amazing soldiers, Prabhuji.
So many people. And here you see the joy of dancing.
Sridhar Gopal Prabhu, yeah, they said. Yeah.
You have to see him dance. And I see Prabhu always happy to assist like all the activities. And here, Krishnamurti Prabhu,
Yeah.
Ek Grahastha, preacher,
Nice.
and very clear Prabhu taking care of all our books. Bhadragaran Prabhu recently joined us in this college.
Oh, I've seen you somewhere.
Bangalore.
Acha, that's what I'm wondering. Yeah. I thought, no, he must not be that devotee. How can he be here probably? That's what I was.
We used to conduct camps. I was in Vishnu. So during the army camps.
Yes.
You have
Amal Mahaprabhu was there that time, or Achyut Mohan Prabhu. Those our Vamshivandan Prabhu's dramas. That time after. He is also.
Texas.
Oh yeah.
Hare Krishna devotees,
Hare
the
Krishna.
class is over, we are ending now.
So this class, I think they can take the last conversation.
Oh yeah.
You can put it on the, share it with the devotees.